Del Rio, Texas, Rob Wade and Robert Garza. Two guys who dive. This episode of Two Guys Who Dive, recorded Saturday, 4 August 2012, episode 27, Who's Diving Now? Welcome once again to another episode of Two Guys Who Dive. I'm your host, Rob Wade, and I'm here with...
the reclusive Bobby Flamingo.
The reclusive.
Robert Garza.
Nice. A.K.A.
Bobby
Scuba Bob.
Yeah.
So, as we always customarily start off, how was your week this week?
Restful.
What does that mean?
Well, I started
No work?
Yeah, I
Okay.
actually started my vacation.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's been kind of nice. I don't go back to work until the 20th.
Cool.
But I am taking courses, mandated courses in the law enforcement field.
So they make you work even while you're not working?
Yeah, exactly.
Wrong.
Well, it's either that or they suspend my certification, which is never good. You know, so it's take the courses, which
Right,
they're
right.
free, so there's no reason. It's just, you know, going in there and getting brutalized.
Brutalized.
Yeah, for, you know,
Dare I even ask?
4 to 8 hours. It just depends on the amount of training that you're going to do. These courses tend to be kind of lengthy at times.
So what's the longest course that you have as far as number of hours you have to be in the classroom?
Well, they vary depending on the course that you're taking. They can go up to anywhere from 4 hours to 60 hours of training.
Yikes.
Yeah, so they can span out over a week depending on the course.
Wow. So I am not taking classes.
So how was your weekend? Or how's your week been?
It's been pretty busy.
I keep reading you've been very vocal on the political thing here.
Oh, funny you should
Yeah.
mention that. That's well, we have, for those who have been under a shell, you may have, you may not be aware, but hopefully you are. There's this big hullabaloo over the CEO of
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, Mr. Cathy, who he was in an interview and he simply stated his views on same-sex marriage and happens to mirror my views and probably a fairly large percentage of America. But it's not, obviously, everybody's views on same-sex marriage. And so what that created was a big firestorm. Of course, all of the mainstream media had to get into the fray and, you know, of course, chastise him for actually expressing his views, which last time I checked, our Constitution does actually allow for us to speak our mind as long as we're fairly civil about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm all about. You know, I disagree with people all the time and can even get passionate about it. But you can get passionate about your beliefs on something and still be civil in the way you deal with people. And the way he stated was simply matter-of-factly, this is what I believe, and there you go. Unfortunately, just about everybody who didn't agree with them just really got vile. And it's not. I'm not surprised. Unfortunately, that seems to be the direction that a lot of folks that are on the other side of that aisle have a tendency to jump to that degree of, you know, death threats and things like that. They're not. It's not the exclusive domain of those folks, but you know, I typically see that that side faster, you know, quicker than the conservative side. Neither side is justified in acting that way. Well, what apparently happened then, of course, there was a big threat to, we're going to boycott Chick-fil-A, blah, blah, blah. And those who supported Chick-fil-A, and by the way, the people who supported Chick-fil-A weren't just, you know, quote unquote Christians. There was a lot of folks that disagreed with his political view or his social view, but they're First Amendment people. So, they actually have, there's been a number of the supporters standing by them purely on a First Amendment basis, which I think is smart. That's the right thing. And so you see a lot of folks that it was just crazy. They had by far the biggest sales day ever when they had to go out and boycott Chick-fil-A. If we'd had one here, I love Chick-fil-A's food.
It's good food.
Yeah, the thing is, they're consistent quality everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's amazing when you set a standard and you expect all of your franchisees to adhere to that standard, how successful you can become. And so they have really great food, and it's consistent wherever you go. It's just a shame we don't have one here, because I'd be Kentucky Fried Chicken would be bye-bye. I would not eat there anymore.
I asked someone in the city, in the city government, hey, is it true?
Well, as in Del Rio City.
Yeah, as in city. Yeah, Del Rio. Is it true? That I hear that are they going to bring a Chick-fil-A or not? Nobody can give me an actual honest answer whether or not they're going to or not, but it's been talked about.
Really?
Yeah, it's been talked about. I'm not really sure, but there's rumor. Again, it's a rumor that perhaps maybe the Cruisenbergers might be bringing it, but I don't really know. It'd be nice.
They seem to be bringing in everything, which is great. I'm not complaining at all.
No, and and I'm glad they actually brought back Taco Bell. That's great, and of course they own everything.
Right.
So, but
not quite, but they invest a lot in our community, which is great.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Kudos to the Cruisenbergers for doing that.
Yep.
And they're great people. They're just really nice people.
Right.
But hopefully,
yeah, that would be great, man. I'd be eating there a lot. No, of course, never on Sunday, because they, in adherence to their religious beliefs, they are closed on Sunday, which is fine. That's perfectly fine. Now, so there's more to the story. Of course, they had an insanely successful business day. I think a number of the shots showed like stores, restaurants with cars lined up around the restaurant twice and then out into the street. It's kind of like when Taco Bell opened up here, which was crazy. Yeah. So they had crazy great business. Well, all right. So then the pro-gay community decided, well, fine, we're gonna have a kiss-in, which of course, amongst the people, amongst those who are less couth but don't support that agenda, the comments that I saw flying about that were sometimes funny, but just not necessary. It's like, come on, if you disagree, you disagree. The thing is, they have a right to speak too. Mm-hmm. They have a right to protest the way they want to. Have no issue with that. So apparently it wasn't as well attended or participated in as the boycott was, which I'm actually kind of surprised at that. But evidently, this gentleman named Adam Smith decided that he was going to go to one of the restaurants and verbally attack one of the workers there. So this girl, Rachel, I don't recall her last name, who fielded the verbal blows pretty well. I mean, she stayed, civil,
professional.
Yeah, she stayed professional. Yeah. Even though this guy was just disgusting and way off base and just, that was ridiculous, not necessary. So then he was quite proud of it because he videotaped the whole thing and he posted it on YouTube. Well, very quickly after he posted it on there, he started getting, you can typically, if you don't turn this feature off, people can comment on your YouTube video. Mm-hmm. And well, there were those who supported him and they said very, very nasty things about Rachel and Chick-fil-A, blah, blah, blah. Overwhelmingly, the guy got lambasted by now, sadly, this kicked up way, way overboard, got into a direction it didn't need to go, unfortunately. Evidently, some organization with less than altruistic ties downloaded a copy of the video, because as soon as Mr. Smith realized, you know what, he was getting just so much negativity thrown at him, he took it down. But unfortunately, this group reposted it at various places and got his email address and his address and phone number. I guess they basically made him a public figure.
Yeah.
So now all these ridiculously stupid people started throwing death threats at him, and just basically they couldn't stay at their house. I mean, that's how bad it was. And I just don't get that. I totally disagree with the guy. He was a scumbag. I'm sorry. There's just no other way to describe it. He didn't need to do what he did, but the bottom line is, especially if anybody who claims to be a Christian has no business jumping in there and behaving in the same level that he behaved, or anybody else that's dropping to a lowest common denominator as far as behavior. You should be forgiving and say, you know what, totally disagree, and that was just, you should be ashamed of yourself. That's one thing. But death threats and stuff like that, it's like, come on, people.
I mean, I think we're a perfect example of disagreeing when it comes to certain subjects and certain things. Microsoft versus Apple. But, everything is done in kind of good fun,
right?
And everything like that. When you actually go out there and you're going to verbally abuse an employee of a restaurant that has nothing to do with this man's political views, has nothing to do with that, I think that's idiotic.
Yeah.
And if you're going to post something like that, then you're inviting that type of negativity into your unfortunately
it doesn't justify
it, but
you're leaving yourself open.
Exactly. So you can't expect to do something and not have some type of repercussion.
But wait, there's more. Well, the word is, and I'm still trying to track down if this is actually true, the word is that there was a video by a video blogger / commentator, Jackson Pierce, female Jackson Pierce. And I'd never heard of her before, but of course, obviously, this has vaulted her into a bigger public sector. And she is the liberals' liberal. And so she had evidently, prior to, as soon as the announcement came that there was going to be a big boycott in support of Chick-fil-A, evidently she posted, and I watched the video after the fact, but she posted a big long video showing she started out liking Chick-fil-A. She used to eat there quite regularly, but because of this, she's not supporting them anymore. And then she went on this tirade of trying to throw scripture back at Mr. Cathy and anybody else who supported. I'm like, you know what? Unless you really are a student of the word, don't accuse somebody of scripture picking when that's exactly what you're doing to try and throw back at them. Because if you just skim off the surface and don't actually look for the real meaning behind all of this and really understand where it all works together, it's like trying to describe any literary work to somebody where you've only read the titles of the chapters, and a verse, a Reader's Digest version or whatever. So anyway, she ranted about that, and she suggested that people go, as a form of protest, go there and referring to a scripture, to just go there and say, I want just a glass of water. And then, videotape, and then she asked people to videotape the encounter and then post it on YouTube, and then she'd make a reference to it and kind of see how things go. She wanted to see how Christians reacted to somebody coming up and just saying, I just want to order water. So the word is that he saw that, and that spurred him to go do this with videotaping. Okay, so then it goes deeper than this. So once all this really blew up, the company he's the chief financial officer for saw the video. And they basically summarily said, I'm sorry, you're no longer compatible with our company. So they fired him. Now, again, I kind of think he deserved it only in that he drew that on himself. When you work for a company they obviously shouldn't be censoring you or whatever. But if you represent a certain level in the company, I think, especially if you are suddenly become very visible, you kind of have a responsibility to make sure that you, at the very least, you separate, make it very clear that whatever I'm saying does not represent the views of the company I work for.
Right.
Or in some cases, you may be high enough up in the food chain where you just really don't have as much freedom to say stuff, because when you go off like he did, you embarrass the company.
Right.
And you can negatively impact their business because of what you said.
You know, it's funny you mention that because you know that I'm affiliated with an organization, a union.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to talk about that right now. But one of the things that came out in the newsletter was that sort of like an expectation of privacy. If you work for a certain entity or an organ, let's just say a business, for example,
right.
And you sign the papers, the contracts, or whatever it is that you're signing for them, you have to make sure that you read the fine print, because a lot of them now are actually putting in, because of the social medias, the Facebook and Twitter and all these things, they're actually stating in these contracts that you're signing, and I'm talking like for teachers, because in case if you are a teacher and you're listening, you gotta please pay attention to this, because we went down and studied actually case law, and the Supreme Court adhered to everything that you sign.
Right.
Okay. So if you don't read it and you just sign it and just say, okay, well, I'm going to sign it, and there you go on your merry way, and you post something negative or unprofessional regarding your place of employment or a coworker or something like that, those are grounds for termination.
Yeah.
So you have to be really careful. Now, I don't know obviously what he did embarrassed the company enough, and I think he really stirred up a hornet's nest.
He really did. He really did. I work for the Department of Defense on Air Force Base. Right. So now, as a civilian, I'm not held to as strict a standard as an active duty military person is. There's a lot of things they simply can't participate in uniform or out.
Right.
But there still are some things that I have to be careful of, because it could impact my employment. It would bring dishonor to the United States Air Force and so forth. So, and there are a lot of things politically in the last few years that have changed in the military that I flat out disagree with. And to be honest, there were things that were changing in the Air Force back in the 90s when I finally decided, you know what, even though I had 9 years in, I was almost halfway through to reaching retirement. It wasn't going the direction that I didn't feel like it was the Air Force that I joined originally. So I finally got to a point where I said, you know what, I can't do the active duty thing anymore. I mean, I could have, but I chose not to. So when my second enlistment was up, I was like, thanks, but no thanks. And so I was in the private sector for a while. So I do have to, but even so, as a civil service employee, I do have to be careful about that.
Yeah. But, you just, please, I don't even know what to say or even say be careful. Just if you're looking for it, you're going to find it.
Absolutely.
And just be wary of what you're because whatever you're going to do is definitely going to impact your life, especially now. And I mentioned the expectation of privacy, which doesn't really exist anymore, because nowadays everybody has a cell phone, and and that was one of the actual classes we took.
Really?
Was that because everybody now has a smartphone and it has a camera on it, we've been, you see people getting into fights and everything's getting recorded and uploaded. So everything you do nowadays is going to be on a video somewhere.
Absolutely right. There's so many people who, they put something out there. They put it on Facebook. They put it on YouTube. The more places you put things, you should automatically assume there is no expectation of privacy.
No, at all.
And there's no expectation that somebody can't disagree with you and come at you.
Right. So if you get into an argument with somebody at a grocery store, at a store, or just anywhere,
Somebody's got a camera.
somebody's going to be recording you somewhere, somehow. Please be careful because, like you said, it's the word I guess kind of want to use is, a horse's rear end. You're going to make yourself look really bad, and just try to avoid that because you're going to end up on YouTube.
Absolutely. And of course, like us, you can actually go make it formal. Get the cameras, get the microphones,
just
and
come out and just talk about it.
That's right. Make it, but that's the thing. I live a very, very transparent life. Anybody who knows me, and one of our good friends who...
yeah, you're right. You don't exist.
I know, that's right. Well, Vlad, you got no reflection there.
There's no reflection.
Those outrageous incisors. Oh, Harry Carey. No, I live a very open book life. So the stuff that I put out there, I put my name to it because I expect to be held accountable to it. Mm-hmm. I look at it this way because I am a Christian. I don't understand why anybody who realizes or believes that there's a God who sees everything you're doing. So you're not doing anything in secret. So why not do it publicly? Now, I'm not talking about going having sex in public.
No,
please. Although, a little side note here. Did you see the news article in Kansas, of all places, Bible Belt? This couple, the guy was like 24, 22. The girl was 35.
Leave it to the youngsters.
They got 35. You'd think you'd know better. They were in a Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess they just got a little randy, and they decided to swipe some KY off of the shelf and just
go try it out, huh?
Go right out in the aisles.
I guess a good time as any. Is
what? No.
I mean,
Oh no. And they weren't attractive people either. So
oh my god.
So it's not even
spontaneity is pretty.
That's right. Be spontaneous around the house. Or in your yard if you have a privacy fence, or out in the middle of a lake or ocean where nobody can see you, but in the middle of Walmart. Oh,
yeah,
come on. So anyway, I digress. So I know the visuals just I was like, gotta get that out of my eyes. So I lead a very public life. So I make sure that what I say, I'm gonna have to eat my words if I'm wrong. And I've had to apologize on occasion. I get emotionally driven into something, and I say something a little bit off the cuff that, just I should have thought a little bit more about it before I said it. But generally, it makes me more thoughtful. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, in this day and age, judging by what goes on to YouTube and some of these other things, it doesn't appear that capability is being cultivated in our generations nowadays. They're becoming public, and so they don't care what they put out there.
It's available. Let's exploit it. Let's just throw it out there and see where it falls. I mean, what else can you do? I mean, we like, for example, some of the biggest problems that we have, or actually it's not a problem, but one of the big mistakes that, for example, the youth is doing nowadays is where I work, kids are doing outrageous things.
How outrageous are they?
Well, let's just put it like this. They really don't know what they're doing when they're videotaping themselves, having intercourse, at a school.
What?
Fighting in the locker rooms, things like that.
The worst thing it used to be back in the day was smoking in the bathroom.
No, smoking in the bathroom is nothing now. Nowadays, it's dealing in the bathroom is more and more like it. So, but they record all this stuff, and then that turns into
how did
evidence.
I get busted? Yeah, how did I get busted?
Well, the thing is, somebody always puts finger on you, and that. They come and tell us, oh, yeah, by the way, you may want to take that person's phone because they were videotaping the whole thing. Yep. So it's like we know exactly where to go and what to look for. So as soon as we get it, we unlock it and then we go ahead and look at it. Of course, we make sure that don't violate anybody's Fourth Amendment right,
Right.
to unreasonable searches and seizures.
Right.
But, to do everything within the law, we do our investigative work, and sure enough, bam, it's right there.
Dun, 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 dun.
And we have a lot of the biggest issues too is the boyfriend and girlfriend thing, doing the sexting. When they're dating, they find it really cute to send photos of each other. And really they don't have an idea that the guy's 18,
Yeah.
she's 16, so now what are you in possession of? Child pornography.
Exactly.
It's that easy, guys. Please don't do it.
And by the way, what makes you think by any stretch of the imagination that video or that nude photo that you sexted to your boyfriend of the moment isn't going to end up on every web page, website that's fodder for?
Okay, well, you see, now talking about that, I can't really comment too much about it, but I did handle a situation just like that where a boyfriend broke up and ended up losing his phone, and those pictures ended up on the net. Now, the parents were very upset, and they wanted, certain things to get done. Well, unfortunately, couldn't do anything.
Right.
Because
he lost his phone.
It was too late. There was really... Who are we going to look for? First of all, do you have somebody in mind that could have taken the phone and uploaded those photos? Because now you're distributing child pornography.
Right.
So we couldn't find it, and make a long story short, it was a very lengthy issue, and just be careful, guys. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
It's just not smart.
No.
Anything that is recorded in any electronic means will find its way publicly. And so if you expect to be anything important, or that you'll outgrow this really silly childish behavior later, and then you'll find that you don't want to explain all this to your kids, don't do it in the first place. Think long term. I don't know how much better we can say is think past this week. Speaking of thinking past this week and how I can be quite vocal about things.
Uh-oh. Look out.
I've been on a tweet and post tirade about Microsoft summarily dropping the word Metro.
Oh, is that when you did the whole Metro?
Yes. I can't
I didn't
believe
understand
this.
what you were talking about.
There was suddenly, just this past week, all of the popular Microsoft Windows Phone websites started posting where Microsoft has been circulating an internal memo telling all their employees, stop using the word Metro in everything. Don't use it in blog posts or emails. Metro disappears. And in fact, one of the podcasts that I follow regularly, which had just recently changed itself to the Metro Show, the Metro Developer Show, because the Metro interface is what's the front end of the Windows Phone and now Windows 8, and is also showing up on the Xbox. A day later, they changed their name to the Windows Developer Show. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? First, the accusations flew that Microsoft was doing this because they were getting into some potential copyright battles. I'm like, seriously, with the word Metro? It's not even an official term, but it's just what everybody's referring to the interface as. And it really, that's the best way to describe it. It does fit that description. But as it turns out, there's this company in Germany, big company, called Metro AG. And I guess they got to whining at Microsoft. Oh, well, you can't use Metro because that's what... I'm like, wait a minute. We use the word Metro shows up in so many different company names, and it's a moniker for so many things. I mean, we use the word so freely. I don't understand how a company like Metro AG could turn around and say you can't use that word. Like, Microsoft, get some brass ones, stand up. Because I'm going to keep, what are they going to do, sue me? I'm going to keep referring it to Metro. And I know a lot of people that's just what they know it by. We're 2 years into the flippin' OS now. And most people talk about the Metro UI. And that's the most common description is the Metro UI because that's what it is. And now they've got to come up with a new name that they've got to try and get everybody to say.
Well, I don't even want to comment on this one.
Well, let me ask you an opinion. What other word, now that you've heard that called Metro a lot, does any other word just automatically come to mind that kind of describes, that encapsulates the look and feel of that interface?
No.
I mean, what would you call it?
I mean, I honestly, and I thought about this because you know how these companies are constantly changing and they're updating their operating systems, their OSs. Right. They update them pretty much once a year, once every year and a half.
Right.
After a couple of patches here and there. Well, it's more the Microsoft. They're the ones that do the little patches and little things like that. Usually on the Apple side, you kind of got to wait, until they just throw out their new one, and then you can update it if you want, and you don't have to.
Right.
But that's the only thing I really don't like too much about Microsoft is that the older versions of some of their operating systems still work great. They're just not supporting them anymore. You got to kind of either go up or you're at the mercy of the viruses. Now, as far as changing the name, why can't we just come up with one name like Windows?
Well, and that is the official name. I mean, they always do their little code names, and WinRT and Windows. It's Windows 8, okay, and that is the official name. But the word or term used to describe this totally new interface has been called Metro, the Metro UI. Windows Phone, of course, was the first to come out with that. They still called it Windows Phone. They called it Windows Phone 7.
Yeah.
But
I still refer to it as WP7.
Yeah, exactly. And now it'll be WP8.
Right.
And that will be the official name. But when you go to describe the interface, especially when you look at what Windows 8 has become, Windows 8 is a balance between the two. And I've got it running on my laptop here. You can use the desktop. That is the interface that has traditionally been synonymous with Windows. Mm-hmm. But then quickly, you can switch to the Metro interface. What else do you describe it? I mean, it's like the non-desktop interface? I mean, what? It is a total, I mean, you're looking at it. That is totally different from the desktop.
The word right under Start Metro, you're going to have to put white, like, liquid paper there,
Well, I put that there.
Oh, you put it there.
Yeah,
okay.
The customization you can do with it is actually pretty neat.
Die hard, guys.
Absolutely.
Die hard. He refuses to go down.
I will not give up the fight. So, I'm hitting all the posts and all the websites and saying, Metro. I don't care what Metro AJ does. I don't care what Europeans say. Y'all can just bite me, okay?
What difference does it make whether it's Metro, Gecko, whatever it is? Just leave it,
Or Lion. Mountain Lion.
Lion. There's Mountain Lion now.
Yeah.
And then it was Lion, and before it was.
No, it's OS 10.
It's OS 10.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
The description for it is that they're using is Mountain Lion. So when Mountain Lion is deployed, but they called this interface Metro. If Apple came up with a totally new interface, which they might do, I'm hearing some rumblings, but if they came up with a totally new interface, they would probably try to come up with some name that adequately describes what that interface is like to differentiate it from all previous interfaces.
Correct.
And so it just frustrates me that Microsoft had a good thing going. Half the time they don't come up with very good names. They come up with stupid names, okay, that never quite grab the public's eye or ear enough to run with it. Metro was one of those that grabbed, and even if you didn't like the interface, you called it Metro. You have Metro haters and you have Metro lovers, but they're still Metro. That's what they call it. And so now they have to try to switch horses in midstream, 2 years into a product, a year into the development of their new operating system for the desktop and tablets, and they have to change it now.
And in case some of y'all that are listening don't know what we're actually talking about, the Microsoft 8 operating system that's going to be coming out shortly.
October 26th.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I knew he would know that because he's a Microsoft guru. He's got Microsoft tattooed on his arm.
Right.
But
If
you
I
know,
had tattoos.
if you know what it is, the Metro aspect of it is just if you have a Windows phone, which Robert talks about so much, the interface on the actual phone, if you don't know what we're talking about, is the Metro. That's a Metro. Now on your desktop, that's what you would see, as opposed to seeing, you got your desktop with your icons and your recycle bin down on the bottom, and if you're running Windows,
Right.
Vista, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Let me switch to the. Go and keep talking.
If you switch, depending if you're running Vista, yeah, there you go. See all those? Okay, that is a Metro. What you see there on that phone, that's what you see on your actual desktop. Right. You see the live tiles.
Like this way.
Right. You see the live tiles changing and everything, but then you can go to the one corner of the screen, and then all of a sudden you see your desktop back.
Right.
You see your icons, you see your, my computer and everything else. So it's actually pretty cool. I'm still not, I've said this before, I'm still not sold on the phone part of it.
Right.
But as far as the operating system, I think it's going to be great. The only thing I don't like is that, you're forced to buy a machine that's kind of souped up to get everything to work okay. Most new machines nowadays already come pretty stout anyway. But I'm still running older machines that, I just don't want to get rid of,
Well, okay. Now, how old are you talking? Like what kind of processor?
Well, I got some that are running Xeon processors. They're gigahertz processors, but they're just not pushing out, enough. The motherboards are pretty much maxed out as far as the RAM is concerned.
Well, what are you running? What operating system are you running right now?
Well, right now I'm running Server 2003 on a server that I got running.
Oh.
So, but that one to me, well, it's server, so it's how that is. It's just gonna run. But I have a desktop that's running Windows 7, and that one has 2 gigs of RAM. It's got a 1.4 Pentium 4 processor, but
it'll work.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's lacking though. It feels like it's like.
Have you got Windows 8 on it?
No, I got Windows 7.
I'm running dual core on that and single on the laptop, and it works great.
Really?
Yeah. So it has. If you're running Windows 7 on it, it has less requirements to run Windows 8.
Oh wow! Okay.
Which shocked me. Which is why it just is amazing that it's so fast.
Yeah.
But you're making a good point though. In order for there are going to be definitely driver issues.
Mm-hmm.
That's I've been working with the Windows 8 from the developer preview to the consumer preview to the release preview, and it's still the release preview there's still night and day difference from what I'm hearing between it and the RTM that just went out. So it does have a few driver issues I have to be careful with. But ultimately, I have not run into any showstoppers.
And that is the only thing that irks me about Microsoft. Usually every operating system that comes out, there is some kind of, compatibility. Compatibility issues. Yeah, it's either a sound card issue, it's a video. I just bit my lip. With video drivers, sound drivers, print drivers, there's always something. And that's where I'll take my hat off to Apple. Usually when they push something out, they cover pretty much a lot of their bases.
Well, really though, that's because they're pretty monolithic.
They're standard across.
I mean, they own the cradle to grave, whereas and this is true with their phones and their tablets and their player. They own the process cradle to grave. So anything that plays in their world, they own
and they create
the design. Yeah. Exactly. Whereas with the exception of the Zune player and with the exception of now the Microsoft Surface, Microsoft just makes the operating system, and all these OEMs come to play.
Right. They get components and things from different vendors and stuff. Well, Apple usually
They own it.
They make their own.
They
create.
partner, yeah. They partner up with them and say, okay, you will be our supplier for this range of video chips, etc.
And that's it. I mean, that's all. You know,
Right.
you can't like change the video card. No, that's it.
That's it.
So
and it works well, but that's it.
Right, and you know, so there's a trade-off when it comes to issues.
Exactly.
But anyway, going back to what we were saying about Microsoft, you know, and I think it's going to work great. I'm still kind of waiting to see the whole release and see how it's going to work and everything else. I mean, I am a Microsoft guy. I mean, I own computers. I mean, come on. But at the same time, I kind of like more the Mac. So I'm leaning more on the Mac side. But I'm a technician, for God's sake. You know, anything as long as it's got a computing processor in there, you know, I'm all for it. So as long as it works and does what it does.
Being a geek has its advantages, right?
Definitely.
Special guest appearance by Ronan.
Ronan,
the man, the myth, the legend. Want to say anything?
like the ninja assassin Ronan.
That's right.
Okay, there you go.
The mask. He's like, I'm getting embarrassed.
So anyway,
so I'm on a rampage to lambaste Microsoft for like they care, like they really care what I say. But I am known on a number of blogs, Windows blogs, etc. So people kind of do. When I comment, you know, people do actually listen. Even if they disagree, they listen. So again, that's what happens when you live a very public life, you know.
The Tiberian web life.
Yeah, there we go. Wait a minute. That wasn't Tiberian.
Yeah.
No, Tiberius was Kirk's middle name.
No, the Tiberian web. When the ships, remember, that's when the ship glows and it's in that the see-through.
Tholian.
Yeah,
that's the word you're looking
Tholian
for.
web.
Tholian.
There you go.
We've now careened into Star Trek. Yes, the Tholian web.
Guys got to watch that. It's Robert Wade right there.
That's right. That's it. I know.
He's floating in and out of universes.
That's right. That's right. I'm phase shifting. So we've hit the Microsoft dropping Metro, which some way they've got to find a way to hold on to this. I haven't checked the blogs yet to see if they've published, because this next week they were going to start rolling out whatever their little description of the theme. Paul Thurrott, whom I tend to agree with most of the time, I saw that he tweeted that he's posted something on what he thinks the name should be, and I thought I saw where he was hinting at probably just call it WinRT. I'm like, no, because WinRT is not the interface. It's not even the kernel for the Windows Phone 7. So,
well, my friend John C. Dvorak says,
I'm gonna smack you. John C. Dvorak is an idiot.
He says that we should just go along with the flow, let the name change, and let the cars.
Is that what he really said?
No, I'm just making.
I'm gonna say he probably said, Microsoft's not going to do anything with Windows 8. It's just going to go down the tubes, just like every other operating system they came out with.
Nokia's already losing ground.
No, actually, they've been losing money because they've been shifting everything out of the Symbian, but actually their stock started to climb back. It's kind of like it looks like it bottomed out, and they finally have started to get the roll into where they're going.
Well, you can't go any further than the ground, Rob.
That's true. I mean,
so
they were below $20 a share. Now they're up above $20 a share.
That's good.
And they've been steadily selling the Lumias, especially the 900s. The thing is. They really support, especially the 900. They've really supported all the Lumias, but they embarrass companies like Samsung, who currently is the number one selling smartphone manufacturer as far as devices, because they flood the market with a bunch of Android pieces of garbage. But even though Samsung sells the most devices, Nokia has just really trounced them as far as the quality of the devices they're making, and Samsung just doesn't support their devices. Anybody who has an Android, you're still waiting for whatever ice cream sandwich. You're still waiting for a bunch of that to update for yours, because the carriers don't do it. The Samsung doesn't care, but Nokia is like by hook or by crook, they get updates out to you. They add more features. So I'm a Nokia fan at this point. I'm like, you keep making good stuff. Right now, as far as my first tablet, I'm still pretty solid that it's going to be a Microsoft Surface. But we still have a few months left before those start coming out. I heard that Nokia is going to make some announcements in September.
Mm-hmm.
Probably their Windows 8 phones, but if they don't announce or hint at their first tablet, because they have said they're going to do tablet, I might have to shift gears. But I love the design of the Surface so much. It'd be hard for, even as good as Nokia's got this down, it'd be hard for them to sway me, I think.
I'm gonna stick to my iPad.
Yeah. Well, they seem to be slowing down, by the way.
They're slowing down. Well, the whole world has them, so I mean, they just can't.
I don't. I tried to work one of those things, and it was frustrating. 6 hours of hell.
It's simple. I turned mine on; it works. But then again, I mean, your client wanted kind of unusual things.
What? He wanted to Skype. I thought it was supposed to be very easy.
Well, mine's Skype.
Just setting up the dadgum accounts on the thing was like pulling teeth.
That's where I gotta honestly kind of bitch a little bit about is all these accounts that you got to create and passwords and oh gosh, I used to like my Android. It was affiliated with my Google.
Right.
And I just entered
one-stop shop.
Yep, I just entered my Google email and my password, and bam.
And
my
that's where Microsoft is going. They got that account now, and it basically then you just connect it to anything. You connect it to your Facebook. It's like, would you like to attach Facebook to this? Great. Would you like to attach your Twitter to this? Great. Whatever you want to attach. I mean, they're expanding left and right, which I'm like, yes, thank you.
The new iOS. I'm hoping
integrates that more.
It's going to integrate a lot more.
I know they're bringing Twitter into it, and I think Facebook.
Well, they already have Twitter. They're bringing in Facebook.
Facebook, yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people have been complaining that the calendars and birthdays and contacts and everything else. If you have an Android phone, I think you know what I'm talking about. Yep. You can go ahead and kind of link your contacts with your Facebook. Well, you can't do that with an Apple phone. I'm not sure if you can do that with the Windows phone, but I think it's a little easier. You can do it. Yeah. Yep. You can't do that unless you get an app, and then you're actually using the app, not the phone. So the new OS is going to be coming out in October, when I believe the new iPhone 5
that's what they're
is going to be coming out.
My wife will probably get one of those.
Yeah,
she was open to getting a Windows phone, but I said, if you've got, because I don't keep track of what apps she buys. I said, if you've got a pretty substantial investment in the apps, and you don't have to re-buy the ones that have to be rebought, because there's a ton that are free.
Right.
You might as well stick with it. I'm not hard over.
I'm still on the fence with this. I've actually made comments. I'm not really sure what my next phone is going to be. I want something different. If the new OS, the new iOS for the phone is okay, and it integrates a little bit more, it becomes a little more user friendly. I probably will stick with the Apple phone, the iPhone, but I don't know. We'll wait and see.
Okay, so
now who's diving?
Yeah, yeah. And I was going to call up another website here because I saw something interesting. As you've heard us many, many times before, we hold to the philosophy that having a C card means you can dive, but diving makes you a diver. And a little rant here, I am constantly frustrated at knowing there are a lot of people in the area who dive, but they just don't dive frequently.
That's right. That's you. That's you right there. That's you.
And sometimes you. And I understand. Everybody's got busy lives. They got families. Well, those who have families. That kind of thing. But, I always try to get at the crux talking to people. So why, if you're certified, why don't you dive? And there are a number of reasons, but I was looking up some stuff. The latest undersea journal had an interesting little bit of statistics looking at the relationship of equipment owners to those who get certain, where you get certified as far as starting at the basic. Do you only do the basic? Do you get to go to your advanced and so forth? And they've seen that there is a relationship to the level of certification that you have and whether or not you're likely to have gear. And in the magazine, there are a number of different. They look at the different types of equipment. BC, dive computer, travel bag, dry suit, fins, stuff like that. And because, of course, obviously, when you're going through the certification, you can rent. A lot of times, you can rent that.
Yeah,
if you're going through a dive shop, typically they'll rent you that at an extra fee, of course.
Oh
Yeah. And of course, the things that typically, if you go through the certification, you're at least, in most cases, you're going to buy the fins, the mast fin, snorkel, and wetsuit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost a given that you're going to have that stuff. But interestingly, it looks like only. I should have brought my glasses.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm getting older. It's amazing that for the BCD, which is the part you wear over your wetsuit, compensates for the buoyancy. Your gauges and regulator. If you're a basic diver, you're only about 20%, 27%. Let's see, 23 and 27. So average about 27% of those folks end up buying their gear. Wow.
Where am I on that list?
You're like me. You went out and bought it right off the bat. I didn't waste any time.
I didn't waste time either.
Exactly. Now, once you jump up to your advanced, that jumps up to, let's see, 65. Let me look at the gauges. 77. 65. So about 70%. It jumps up huge. About 70% go out there and get their equipment by. If they're going for their advanced, 70% have got their equipment.
Right, because they're already diving a lot more.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And see, that's the thing. I've said this before. If you go through the trouble of getting certified, you're spending money on that. And yes, that can be expensive depending on where you go. You've now got a skill set that's very new for you. You're only going to perfect that by going to continuously do it. And so I don't care where you're at. There's always some place that you can find that you can dive. It's not necessarily going to be like being in the Caribbean or some other tropic area, but you're going to have an opportunity to dive. If it's in a quarry or a river or whatever, there are places for you to dive. I mean, for all you know, you could there may be a public pool or something that will let you keep up the skills.
Right.
At the very least, you should plan some sort of a trip. Do a vacation every year and think about. Don't just go places that are all landlocked. Say, you know what? If we're going to go this place, I'd like to at least see if there's an opportunity to get a dive in.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, if you go out and buy your gear, you're more likely to dive, and it's getting less and less expensive these days to get your equipment. And I actually put together a few slides here, if I can bring it up here. There we go. One of the places I like to dive or like to shop for dive gear is Diver Supply, and I just plucked a couple of examples off of their.
That's nice, right there. $400.
Exactly. You've got, and by the way, I champion weight integrated BCs, meaning that they have pouches where your weights are, and so they're easily removed, rather than going with a dive belt. That's old school.
Yeah, I am 100% weight integrated.
Yep.
I don't know how people dive with belts, but gosh.
Yeah. But a lot of places that you
Yeah.
go to rent, that's what you're going to have because it's obviously less expensive to make a BC that doesn't have the weight integrated. So here you have what they call their value package, and for Diver Supply, this is their absolute bottom price. This is their basic package. But I mean, look what you get for this. For $400 basically, you get your primary and your alternate. Now these are what we call store brand regulators, meaning they've contracted with another manufacturer that probably makes a name brand, but these are like these. I would not use these like in ice. I wouldn't go diving in the Arctic.
I wouldn't do cave diving.
Yeah, I wouldn't do cave diving with these. But for just your starter package, so that you go out and dive in the places that most people who just start out diving would dive. This is a great setup. Mm-hmm. You got a weight integrated BC, and I actually have some of these particular BCs I use for the training and these regulators I use for training, and they work out great. Never had any issues with the students, saying, well, this is uncomfortable or whatever. It's got all your really good features. And then you've got an analog gauge system. Of course, I teach the dive tables, so if you've got an analog depth gauge and you're wearing a watch that you can dive with, which aren't that expensive, you've got everything you need to do a dive. Now, you've already typically bought your personal gear, so you add this to it, and all you got to do is rent your tanks and weights, and you're ready to go. And a lot of times, if you're diving with somebody who's already got all their own gear, they may actually have a tank and some weights that you can use as well. So for $400, you can get in, and I defy anybody who has already gotten certified who they've probably spent almost this much to get certified anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, save your pesos and get some gear.
No, definitely.
Now, if you want to bump up a little bit, you can go to under $800. You can get more name brand and add a dive computer to it.
That's nice.
I mean, when I bought my first set of gear, just to get the basic computer, it didn't even have all the capabilities that a basic computer now has. Yeah. And I still have the computer, and it still works great.
Man, that's the price of just my computer.
Exactly. But I mean, look at this. Weight integrated. You get your primary and alternate, name brand, Aris, and you get your analog gauge, pressure gauge, and a dive computer for under $800. So, that's a tax return or half a tax return for a lot of people. So you can get into something decent. Now, these are examples from Diver Supply, which is one of the places I frequently shop. Now, also I've got one of the other places that I shop, and you got some really good deals from, was from LeisurePro.com.
Yeah.
And here is, let me switch here. Here's one of their basic packages. And this is a name brand. This is Aris again. And you've got they're using the Oceanic GT3 primary regulator, which I actually have. A friend got that for me as a gift for doing some work for him. And I love it. That's one of my spare rigs right there. And it's got, if you notice on the right side there, from your perspective, it's got the adjustable resistance, which is great. Love that.
Yeah. The only difference here is you got a little bit of a better regulator.
Right.
Same deal, but where you look at the price difference is this is an analog gauge,
right.
And, you can probably bump it up and get a computer for maybe $100.
Funny you should say that, because the next screen I have.
There you go.
And it's actually cheaper
than
the Diver Supply one.
Yeah.
And it's got the computer and
compass.
the compass.
The compass.
And the compass.
Wow.
So
that's a steal right there. I will tell you that the Oceanic, it's the Delta, right?
Yep.
Okay. The that regulator right there, Rob has it, and I've seen it, and it's actually a very sturdy, very well built regulator. That is a phenomenal price right there.
Now, looking back at this basic package, this value package from Diver Supply, I also look, because you can customize. When you actually go to the cart to pick it out, because you got to pick the size of the BC and stuff like that. You can choose to upgrade any element of it, the regulator, the console, whatever, and upgrading this package to the TUSA, name brand, the TUSA Element computer with compass jumps it up to $567. So you can get this package and just jump it up to computer with compass and only pay $567. Again, not an expensive venture, relatively speaking, considering I spent for my very first rig $1,500.
Yeah,
on my basic
I spent
package,
around there. Yeah.
which I still have it, and it's still, you take care of it. It lasts you for a long time.
Again, I still have mine.
Right.
It's still in great condition. I still have my very first wetsuit. I take, I'm, what do I go, when I'm, my mind went blank. I'm hungry.
What?
Anyway, I'm OCD when it comes to my gear. I tend to take carrot and then triple carrot. Rob makes fun of me all the time, but the pieces on my gear though, like for example, those packages that you just saw,
Right.
you can always upgrade later on slowly. The BC will still work for you. You may want to upgrade maybe a regulator somewhere down the road. You can do that. And just slowly but surely, get yourself a good little deal. Or you can kind of do what we did. We just went out there and bought really good gear the first time. But
I love tax returns, man.
yeah, but it was costly. I will say that. But the way I looked at it, it was an investment in my
And a worthwhile investment.
Yeah.
Because it has meant that we've been able to go out and dive.
And we've dove in all kinds of weird conditions.
Yes, we have. Now, getting back to some more of the stats real quick, because we're actually running over, but who cares? I was looking at PADI, and PADI is by far the most common certifying agency. But
yeah, I know
think
PADI.
Professional Association of Dive Instructors. But I think all of them are pretty much seeing these kind of stats. There was a dramatic increase in certification starting in the really about the mid 80s. And then it started to peak basically around 2005. And it's kind of fluctuated up and down, but pretty steady over the last 5 years. Now, which means fewer people are getting certified. And there's a number of reasons. Probably economy is part of it.
Yeah.
Dive travel can be very expensive, especially with fuel costs right now. Which is why I say if you got certified, get your gear for what you saw. It was fairly cheap, and find local areas. Connect with other people locally. Dive as frequently as you can. Set aside that time.
Here in Del Rio, there are certain places you can dive. There's the lake. Well, the reservoir, you want to call it.
Yep.
We have the lake. There's the creeks.
Yeah.
There's places you can go, and the creek sounds kind of like a cop out, but
it actually is kind of fun.
It's actually really neat. You can actually pick up a skill. Robert actually does one of his advanced during the advanced portion of his class. He'll do actually. You're going to dive the creek.
Yep.
Because there's a portion
for handling current.
The current, the current dive. I'm at a loss for words. I'm hungry, Robert.
When you smell the meatloaf I got
That's
cooking.
My mind is somewhere else, Robert.
Sorry.
Anyway, there is other places you can dive, so don't think that the lake is the only place you're subject to. But there's really no reason why you can't dive.
Right.
I mean, really at all.
Yeah, we get weekends like this when it's so hot. I tell you, there's nothing like just jumping in the water and getting about 60 feet down and just relaxing and enjoying it.
Yeah.
Some more stats. Looking back from 2006 to 2011, the percentage of male divers to female divers, as far as certifications, has remained pretty steady.
Mm-hmm.
60 as of 2007, 67% of those getting certified were guys, and 33% girls. Which I checked back, and my stats don't quite line up with that. I'm almost 50-50 as far as local area. It's interesting that as many women as men in this area, Del Rio area, seem to be interested in diving, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Which is great. I mean, I think just there's no reason why it would be that different.
A lot of the students that you had in the past are usually getting certified because they're getting ready to go like on a trip.
Yep.
So they want to make sure that they have, nothing's going to kind of deter them from getting in the water.
Right.
Whether they're going on a cruise.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. This opens up more things that you can do if you go out on a cruise, or if you're going to go out somewhere where there's ocean or somewhere. Trust me, if there's an ocean there's a dive shop.
Yeah. No kidding. Probably several.
Yeah, several. So.
And they're all competing for your dollar, so it's important.
Yeah, look around.
Yeah, exactly. So, a needle pulling thread. Now we come to the commercial portion of our... Yes, it is that time. So, as you...
Nothing political, Robert.
Huh? No, but you've kind of gotten a hint to where my commercial is. We were talking about places you can get your gear, and so I'm here to talk to you about diversupply.com. If you're an instructor, you get a pretty healthy discount, so definitely encourage you instructors out there, and I think even dive masters can get a pretty decent discount. But even so, you saw their prices are pretty awesome. They're very competitive. In fact, one of the things they say is they will not be undersold. If you come at them with some other website or some other company's price, they will try to beat that. And so, got a snapshot of their website here. It's nicely laid out. Similarly to Leisure Pro, which you saw some.
Yeah, they changed it. It looks actually really nice.
Yeah, it really it used to be kind of very
just
ghetto.
plain.
Very
yeah,
ghetto.
there you go.
But they do a nice job with it. They've right up front. You can look at different packages, or off to the left side there. You can zoom in on particular subsets of your scuba gear. You can sort it by price or brand and that kind of thing. But their prices are absolutely fantastic. They're not perfect, as no website or no internet dealer of any type, scuba gear or anything. Nobody's perfect. You have your hits and misses sometimes, but they do what they can to bend over backwards to take care of you. Leisure Pro does too. But I find more often than not, if both sites have a particular piece of gear, it's cheaper on Diver Supply. So I definitely encourage you to if you have not got your gear yet, to go ahead and check out Diver Supply. It's divers-supply.com. So check them out. It's a good place to get your gear, name brand and store brand, and you won't be disappointed. There are places like scuba.com, which they have great support, but man, their prices are... Every once in a while you find a deal, but most of the other websites, their prices are almost like going into a brick and mortar, which I never... Unless you're trying gear on, I just don't recommend people going to brick and mortar. That's me. That's me.
Yeah.
Unless you can get some sort of package deal where you're getting training and gear, sometimes you can find that. And by all means, take advantage of that. But so definitely recommend you try out divers-supply.com. They will not be undersold.
Wow.
Yes.
That's one of the other things too. I know Leisure Pro matches prices, I think.
And they will, but it's kind of like one of those things, like a little kid would do. Mommy said this. Well, go find out what your dad says. And, goes and tries to play one parent against the other. So you can go back and forth with that. But I tell you, especially if you see, as an instructor, if you see the prices that they have for instructors, it's pretty insane.
One of the other things that you might want to do as well is, if you know someone who's going to buy gear, you may want to kind of jump on their coattails and say, hey.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
I was, the more you buy... and I'm referring to Leisure Pro, and I'm sure Diver Supply is kind of almost going to be the same. The more that you buy, the heavier discount you get with certain things, because they'll bundle it together sort of like a package. Even though that's not what you're asking for, you're buying a piece here, a piece there. It turns into a package, and they can actually offer you a better deal.
Yeah.
So if you got a friend or an instructor who is gonna be, kind of there I go again. Who's gonna be kind of I guess updating or possibly maybe changing some equipment, and he's gonna be ordering something. You might want to ask him or ask them, say, hey, listen, I'm a new diver. I got this, but gear's kind of expensive. Is there any way that when you're ordering this, I know that you get a discount. Can I give you the money and you get me this? You might see that you might see a bigger discount than that. But just kind of look around and ask around. And again, I jumped on a friend of mine, Monica's coattail. When she got her gear, she bought it all at the same time as well. And man, she got a sweet deal on her gear.
Yes, she did.
God, it's a modest,
which is good stuff.
Yeah, man, her regulator, you can dive in Antarctica with that thing. It's got a built-in heater in it. It's awesome. So anyway, Monica, how's it going? But when she was ordering her gear, I actually at the time was going to get a 5 mil suit because I was going to start diving in cooler weather.
Right.
And so she was getting her gear towards the fall, and it was kind of perfect. Got my suit, and I got a really, really great deal. I mean, I think the suit was $400.
Sweet.
And I got it for, what did I tell you, $199?
Yeah, it was like
$5.99. You got penny?
But it was actually a really great deal, and then I got the same sweet deal too when I got my waterproof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And when we got our regulators also.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
So I mean, you look around. There's a lot of good deals you can find out there.
You just gotta go out there and do it.
Yeah.
I cannot stress them enough. And we will be happy to, if you're in the local area, or the internet is a great thing because you don't have to be in the local area. But if you have been resistant to get your gear and you're finally realizing, you know what, I've got this skill, I need to go use it, but you're not sure what to get, we'll be happy to consult for you. No charge. We will share with you the benefit of our experience. We don't sell gear, so we don't have a dog in the fight. We're not affiliated with a dive shop, so we're just encouraging you to get your gear so you'll dive. That's why I instruct. I don't instruct to make money. I instruct so that I can convince people this is a great activity to do and you'd really enjoy it. And it's for just about everybody. But so I have no dog in the fight. He has no dog in the fight. We will share with you our likes, dislikes, what we've run into that works, doesn't work, what would be better for you to start out with, and then what you may want to upgrade to later, that kind of thing.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you, this piece of equipment is junk. It's out there, like Rob's mentioned in the past. Even though it's lower in quality gear, it still has to maintain a certain standard to support your life.
It's life support.
So it's life support. Now, of course, there are some things that I would actually tell you, well, I wouldn't do, maybe do that. But
that's more based on our experience with the kind of stuff, not, what we've seen. We know where beginning students,
exactly,
or just certified people are. We know where they're at mentally.
I mean, I remember one of the questions in getting certified is, okay, what is it that you want to achieve as far as getting certified? I remember mine was like, I want to do what you do. I want to be an instructor. So right. I knew early on that I was going to take this real serious, and I had that mindset that, okay, I need to learn exactly what I need to learn, and got with Robert and worked and built up my skills. He pretty much put me through the paces, and I got me there. So if you know that you're only going to do this recreationally, obviously you're not going to go out there and buy, a computer that monitors your heart rate.
Right.
That's
they exist. But
they do, and they're about $1,600.
Yeah.
You're not going to go and invest that kind of cash in something that you're only going to use every so often.
Right.
We've actually seen people using that type of equipment, and they're instructors.
Yeah.
So they're in the water a lot. I mean, Robert lives in the water.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so if you're only going to do it recreationally, I wouldn't recommend, come and talk to us and we'll tell you straight, okay, this package works great. If you're going to go a little bit further and advance your studies, go to your advanced or possibly your rescue or even dive master and maybe even go through the IDC, which is the instructor development course.
Right.
You're going to you're going to be in the water a lot.
Yeah.
So you're going to be using your gear a lot. So you're going to want to maybe change things and go a little bit on the higher end on some stuff.
Yep.
And other stuff you can not worry about because it's going to work great. But
absolutely.
Yeah, please let us know. Give us a call.
That's what we're here for. We're here for you.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Tips, training, and tech. So here's what we got coming up. Balmoral, we still got that coming up. I imagine that's probably pretty close to full as far as the park, but it being this late already in August. But you can always contact them and find out for sure if they've got a camp spot or two open. We may have a pretty good size group because, of course, the McGonagals will be going, and maybe his parents.
Troy.
Yeah, maybe his parents will be there because they live up by Crane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they may go ahead and make the trip up there as well. So who knows? I might be able to get one of them to try out. They'll do a little Discover Scuba.
There you go.
Their oldest son was not able to make the trip last time, so it looks like he'll be able to go this time. And so he'll get to do the Discover Scuba thing.
Cool.
He's joined the Marines. He's on the delayed enlistment. So, and if he really wants to get serious in that, he may have to do some of this anyway. So, being able to get this under his belt would be kind of neat. The last scheduled class for the season, although I can certainly be convinced to have more, 23rd through 26th of August. So sign up now. We'll get you your dive materials so you can start your self-study. And our next dive club meeting, 16 August at Rudy's Restaurant. We're open to ideas for other places to hold it, but that one easily accommodates it. And they've got good food.
Get the baked potato. They're mammoth.
It was. He had a woolly mammoth potato. It was so scrumptious. Yeah, or you can get the drooly pork sandwich.
The pork sandwich. We'll have to get with Troy on that one.
Yeah, how drooly was it? It was so drooly. And I was thinking about this last podcast. Every fall they have Trash Fest over in New Braunfels, so I was checking out the website to see when the next one is. So it is officially 6 October in New Braunfels, Texas. So if you're in the area, and actually if you're not even in the area, because we've seen people showing up from all over the place, even other countries have shown up for this thing. It's a really worthwhile event to participate. We've been there a couple times. You have a good time meeting a lot of other divers. You're doing a good cause. You're cleaning up the area. You're pulling stuff out of the Kamal River and the banks and everything. And you have a really cool little awards banquet kind of thing where they award for most items taken out or the most unique items or most weight.
The most weight.
Yeah. I mean, some of them come in with like canes or cranes and stuff. I know. So, and so you get little door prizes. You could win in one of the drawings. You could win a regulator or BC, any number of things. So it's like $15. I think it's $15 a person this year. So by all means, if you're interested in participating, it's a great lot of fun. They have insane. Matter of fact, this year, they've dropping stuff. This year, the chairman, Vanessa Gray, has, who's the point of contact, I guess, they announced that they're no longer doing registration at the event. You have to register ahead.
I bet you that was chaotic.
It was. The last time we went, it was just crazy. There were people who hadn't registered yet. And I guess they just have such tremendous participation now. They need to know who's going to be there. So it's pretty cool. And then last but not least, DEMA, the Dive Equipment Manufacturers Association, their annual show this year in Las Vegas, 14 through 17 November. So you can go to their website, demashow.com, And you can sign up for that if you are a professional, if you are an instructor, dive master, or so forth. You can sign up and go to this thing. It's kind of like going to CES or some of these others. They're showing off new stuff. You typically can't buy stuff there, but they have a lot of giveaways, little trinkets, and things like that. And you get to try out some stuff.
Yeah. Oh, they're gonna have a pool there.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah, so you're gonna be able to get in the water.
That's right. Try out some of that really cool gear. I mean, that's how neat is that? Go someplace and just try out gear.
Now you're talking about like state of the art new stuff that's barely coming into the market. So this isn't stuff that's like already out. Well, some of it is already out, but they're pushing their new stuff.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you probably get a chance to try out like rebreathers and stuff like that.
the rebreather.
Recreational rebreathers. So, well, there was some other things I wanted to get to, but we're already running way long, so we need to wrap this up. We'll probably push this.
That meatloaf is smelling good.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hopefully my wife has been watching it, because it was halfway through its cooking time when we started the podcast, so hopefully she got it out there in time.
Well, I don't smell anything burning yet, so I guess
it's not extra crispy. I like my hamburgers crispy. I don't like my meatloaf crispy. I like my meatloaf squishy.
Heed.
Move now! Look at the size of that noggin. It's like Sputnik. It's spherical and quite pointy in parts. Oh no, I've done it. He's gonna go and cry himself to sleep on this huge pillow. One of my favorite movies. If you don't recognize that was Mike Myers as his own dad. In the movie, So I Married an Axe Murderer. Great movie. Hilarious.
Cool movie.
It is good. So, I think then that's it for this week. We ran a little bit long, but
all right.
We'll get this uploaded to YouTube as quickly as possible. And so if you weren't able to see it live, which means you're not here actually hearing me say this, you can, of course, watch it, stream it on YouTube and watch it. And also we'll put it up on Vimeo for those who prefer Vimeo over YouTube. YouTube's getting a lot of traffic, from the stuff with the Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Chick-fil-A stuff. So
we'll be just below the Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, right. Exactly. keep those hits coming.
Yeah.
So, without any further ado, we'll sign off for this week's episode of
Two Guys Who Dive.